Hi friends, Cathy Madeo back with another video. This one all about ankle mobility. Your heels lift when you lower down into a squat and you're not sure why. If your heels raise off the floor, it's likely coming from limited range of motion either in your ankle joint or your hip joint. When you squat down, if your heels begin to raise once you move beyond that 90-degree angle with your legs, then it's likely coming from your ankles. Now, your knees passing your ankles is a very common functional movement that we use every day when we walk. So why is it so hard when we're squatting? Well, when we walk, our hip joint is above our knee joint. And so as we begin to lower and squat down, the hips pass the knee joint, and that completely changes our weight-bearing load, making it very difficult to keep our heels down in a squat position. You can increase your ankle mobility by stretching the soles of your feet. Your soles have a band of tissue that runs from the Achilles heel to the toes. This is called your plantar fascia. So this plantar fascia is often quite tight, and that limits your mobility when the foot is in dorsiflexion, or another way of saying that is a flexed foot. The good news is you can improve your ankle mobility with a few key exercises. Practice along with me in this video to increase your ankle mobility and increase your ability to do a squat. In this video, you'll need a wall and a set of blocks, or if you're at home, you can also use the stairs. Let's get started. We'll start in a seated position. You can feel free to prop yourself up. You could even do these first exercises in a chair. So we'll start with the left foot, and I just want you to take circles with your foot. So we're just warming up and lubricating the ankle joint, and we'll switch directions. Good, and then just switch your feet. So you can take your right foot or the opposite foot. You can kind of holding my leg here so that I'm not taking my foot in my hand and just circling the foot. And we'll switch directions. The next thing we're going to do is stretch our toes. So you can take your hand and you'll insert your index finger in between the big toe and the second toe, and then just carry on there as you go one toe at a time, and feel free to manually move those toes around and creating lots of space here. So just situate your fingers in there. Let your toes adjust, and then we can curl our toes, or pointing your foot would be another way to say that, curling your toes in, and then we'll flex our toes. So reach the toes up towards the front of your shin or the top of your foot. We'll just do that one more time. Now, taking hold of your foot, you can grab at your ankle or your shin bone. We're going to take our hand onto the toes here and pull the toes back. So remember, your plantar fascia, which tends to get very tight here, runs from your Achilles heel all the way up to your toes. So we're giving it a passive stretch here as we pull our toes back. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. So now we'll point the foot and we'll bring the toes in towards the sole of the foot. So now we're stretching the tops of the foot as well. And then we'll just release that and switch sides. So taking hold of your left ankle or shin bone, we'll start to bring our index finger in between the big toe and second toe, and then we'll work through all of the spaces of our toes. I know it feels a little awkward, especially if you've never done anything like this. So just let the toes kind of settle there. Let them feel that space. And then we'll begin to point the foot, curl the toes in. Just hold that. And then we'll bring the toes back towards the top of your foot. And then we'll do that one more time each round here. So curling the toes towards the soles of the feet and then moving them away. And so now we'll go into that dorsiflex position here with a little bit of an assist with our hands. So I'm placing the palm of my hand here on my toes to the end of my toe mounds, and I'm pulling those toes back. And now we'll point the foot. So plantar flexion, this is called. We have dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. And then we'll release. Now meet me in a kneeling position and just sit back on your heels here. And so this is a gentle stretch of the tops of the feet. And we'll just take this for a few breaths. Just start to notice what's happening even with your toes or your heels. Are they splaying apart? They have a tendency to splay apart. Seeing if you can bring your feet in line with your shin bones. Next, we will curl our toes under. So we're basically doing the same thing we just did with our hands, but now we're applying our load, our hips and our torso weight on top. So it's going to be intensified. So if you have any kind of toe joint pain, this might be too intense. So you can do what we did on our seat there and just take a passive stretch. So you'll notice perhaps that I'm taking my pinky toe and I'm manually curling it under there so that all 10 toes are curled under. I will just take a few breaths here. So if you're new to this position, it can be painful, right? And so we don't want shooting, stabbing, burning signals of pain, but discomfort here would be normal. Just feel the soles of your feet stretch as you're here. And then when you're ready, you'll release and we'll come into tabletop and we can just playfully pat the tops of the feet into the mat. From tabletop, we'll extend our right leg behind us, curl your right toes under. So you're seeing a theme here. We're getting more and more increasing the stretch of the soles of our feet. And now if we just slightly pull the heel back, we'll begin to stretch the Achilles heel and the calf a little bit more. Now I just want you to simply rock forward and then rock back. And when you rock back, reach your heel back, keep your knee joint nice and straight, and then rock forward and back and forward. And there's no sense rushing these, right? Because it's when we go back that we feel that nice deep stretch. Let's take about 2 more. And we'll release and just switch sides. So left toes curl under, pull the heel back, straighten out through your knee joint. And we'll try or start these slow rocks. So going forward and back, forward. You're holding for a beat as you go back, forward, and back. And we'll do 1 more. And release. We'll take our set of blocks. Now, you don't need blocks on this next one, but it might be nice to just have them to stabilize. And also, we'll be applying some pressure on your back knee. So any discomfort in the back knee, you'll pat it with a blanket. So here we are in our lunge position. We're typically instructed to keep our knee over our ankle joint. But particularly with our back knee down, we have a nice weight-bearing load that's like safe here for the knee to safely pass the ankle joint. It's no problem here. And so this is one of the ways we can start to get used to the position that we have in our squat where the knees are past the ankles. So we'll go forward and back. Now, if you're able to, I want you to pull your heel in a little bit closer and climb your hands up to your thigh. And from here, we'll go lunge forward, just allowing the knee to go forward and back. Again, any sensitivity on that back knee, please pat it. No sense trying to improve ankle joint only to hurt your knee, right? So taking the time and care to use props to help support your body. So we're going as far forward as we can and back. And if you're right here, that's just perfect. That's where you are. We'll do about 2 more. Now you can take the blocks underneath your hands or hands onto the mat. We'll inch our front leg forward and straighten your front leg. So we're in a runner's stretch here. Now while we're here, I want you to really dorsiflex the foot. So pull your toes towards the front of your shin bone, and you can drag isometrically the heel towards your right hip. So there might not be any movement, but there's a firing up of the back of your leg, and we're keeping our front foot flexed, and then you can fold. You're also free to stay upright because we're really focused right now. I want you to focus more on the calf, Achilles heel, and soles of the foot. Okay, bend your front leg and we'll just simply switch sides. We'll step the left foot forward now. Allow the knee to come past the ankle. And we'll just do a couple rounds here with the support of the floor, the blocks underneath our hands, bringing the hips back and then forward as the knee moves forward and back. And so if you feel stable, you can move your heel back slightly, bring your hands to your thigh, and again, we'll move forward, letting the knee move past the ankle, stretching our Achilles heel a little bit more. Just moving mindfully so the hips and the knee move straight forward. We'll do 3 more. Pushing the hips back and then forward. And last one here. We'll place our hands on the blocks. You'll flex your front foot and straighten your front leg. And we're doing a bit of a deeper dorsiflexion here as we curl our toes towards our shin bone. Drag your left heel isometrically back towards your hips. Nice long spine. You can stay upright for this, or if you'd like a fold, you can also fold. Just feeling in your body where the sensation of the stretch is. And from here, we'll lift up. You can sit back on your heels for a moment. Next set of exercises will be at the wall. You'll need a chair, a block, and if you want to bring your mat over, you can, or you don't need it. I'll see you at the wall. We'll face the wall and take kind of like a warrior 1 position, but I want you to have your feet hips distance apart and have a short enough stance where you can get your full back sole of the foot on the ground. The toes can turn out a little bit if needed. And then you'll place your hands on the wall, and what I want you to do is lean your weight into the wall. So what we're doing is stretching the back leg, calf, and Achilles heel, and the sole of the foot. So you can go as far back with your stance as you can maintain the sole of your foot down. And then again, you're just leaning your weight forward. And as you do that, pull your left heel down onto the ground and make any adjustments. So if the sole of the foot and the heel isn't on the ground, just shorten your stance. And we'll hold this for about 30 seconds up to a minute. Especially if you are a runner or you sit a lot, or you wear shoes a lot throughout the day, your Achilles heel, soles of the feet, and even your calf muscles can get quite tight. So this is a great stretch to do daily. We'll take a couple more breaths here. And we can slowly step forward, just let your body neutralize, and then we'll switch sides. So again, feet hips distance apart, taking just long enough where you can get the sole of the foot completely down of the back foot. You're bending into your front leg and leaning your weight forward. Just taking some deep breaths here. This would be a great stretch to do every morning before you get moving or get sedentary or start putting your shoes on. So a tight plantar fascia can go all the way, affect the Achilles heel and the calf. So stretching the whole lower limb, the back of the leg, will help with your ankle mobility. Couple more breaths here. Good, and then we'll just bend and step it forward, and again, just neutralize here for a moment. So now we'll take our block, and you can place it towards the right side of the mat. And what you'll do is you'll place your toe mounds at the edge of the block, and we'll take a similar stance. So feet hips distance apart, back leg, sole of the foot is down. This time you'll keep your front leg straight, and we'll use the wall here just for balance for a moment. And we're just, again, stretching our calf and our Achilles heel. And we can begin to walk down the wall, hinging here at your hip joint. So we don't need to take a full forward fold because we're not so much focused on the glutes and the hamstring right now. If you wanted to, and that was accessible to you right now, you can do that. But for now, we can just stay upright at the wall. And what you can do here is flex your feet so they're curling up toward, the toes are curling towards your shin bone, and press into the block with your toe mounds here. So just a bit of an active stretch here as we have something to press into. And then we'll just release and switch sides. So move the block to the opposite side, feet hips distance apart, back sole of the foot is down so that we're still stretching the back leg. And once we get this dorsiflexion of the left foot, we can start walking the hands down the wall. You can keep a flat back here if you're staying up at a 90-degree angle. And push your toe mounds into the block. A few breaths here. And to come out, you can release your foot off the block. Now what we'll do is we'll actually stand on the block. If you have a staircase, you can do that at the last stair, and you can hold on to the banister. With your blocks, you want to make sure your toe mounds are a little bit more forward so that you don't flip off of the block. But what we're doing here is we want our heels to dangle off the block. So I have a kind of weighted block here. It's a cork block, but if you have a foam block, just be mindful. You might want to hold on to something. And what we're doing now is, you can tell a lot of these poses and stretches we're doing are taking this dorsiflexion, but now that we've elevated ourselves, gravity can now weigh our heels down, so we're getting a deeper stretch. This is another stretch you could do daily, and finding just times throughout your day to do this stuff. If you're waiting somewhere and there's a staircase, or got kids and they're playing near you, or you're cooking and you have a couple minutes while the water's boiling, just go hang out on your staircase and stretch your calves and Achilles heel. Okay, we'll step off the block and just settle both soles of the feet down for a moment. The last thing we're going to do before we work into our squat position will require a chair or a bench. Set up your chair. You could have it against a wall just so that it doesn't move in space, but have your feet hips distance apart. And I want to go on a little journey with you here to just think about and feel in your body what happens when you go to sit in a chair. This is a movement that we often take for granted, but we have a lot of good work that we could actually do here every day at all the times we go to sit in a chair. So the first thing I want you to do is just mindfully behave as though you're about to sit in the chair. So move slowly. So the first thing we do is we bend our knees, right? And then we have a tendency to really lean forward and stick our hips back. And then many of us often kind of plop down in the chair, right? Just hoping that it's going to catch us. And then we come out in a similar kind of way. We'll lean way forward, and then again coming into this position, and then try to get ourselves back up. And so what I want to invite here is that we actually have an opportunity to work on our squats as we lower down into a chair. And this is something we do all day long, right? And so what I want you to do is reorganize how it is that you sit in a chair. So you'll begin to bend your knees, and instead of leaning way forward, I want you to think of lifting the sternum up. And right as you feel like I need to compensate, like I need to tip things, that's where I want you to send the weight back onto your heels. And then think of the hips scooping under as you sit down. And then likewise, to come up, there'll be a slight shift forward, but then what I want you to do is shift the weight to your toe mounds, and as you lift up, push straight down into your feet and use the power of your legs to stand. So you can see how this mindful sitting motion can really help set the stage for a stronger squat. Now, the issue that we run into in kind of our modern day lifestyle is that the chair stops us from going into our squat, right? So we've kind of gotten used to, and almost like a crutch, begun to rely on the chair. And so we just kind of turn everything off right at this 90-degree angle, right? When our legs hit that 90-degree angle, oh, I don't have to work anymore, right? But in a squat, we know that it's at that 90-degree angle that it becomes the hard part, and that's when most of us need to lift our heels up. And so rather than, thinking that you're not a good person because you can't do a squat and your heels lift up, just recognize that it's just kind of a function of our modern day lifestyle. And so you absolutely can retrain your body. And so as you sit in a chair all throughout the day, I just want you to think about this and use each time you get in the chair, each time you get in the car, as an opportunity to work here on your squats. And so let's just do a few rounds of these together if you're not already doing them with me. Your feet are hips distance apart. Your sternum is lifting upward. You start to bend your knees. As you move into that 90-degree angle, you'll shift your weight back to your heels, stay upright, land softly in the chair, and then to come out of the chair, you're slightly shifting forward, weight goes to the toe mounds, push down, strong legs to stand up. And we'll do just a few more of those. So no longer using your armrests and stuff to get into chairs, using those strong leg muscles, using the mobility that you have in your ankles to do this movement. Okay, let's make this a little bit more challenging by going on to one leg, just to really work our legs here. So we'll shift the weight to our left foot. You can straighten your right leg, and it's the same thing here. As we bend the leg, you'll notice the body compensating. Shift your weight back to the heel, softly land your seat. Same thing to come forward. Weight shifts to the left toe mounds as we push down to stand up. And so you can add on more reps of those throughout the day. We'll switch sides here just to practice. Weight shifts to the right foot, slowly lower down. Be normal for your knees to wobble there as the muscles are engaging. And then again, slight lean forward, push down to stand up. Okay, so let's move into some squatting now. So let's take all of this into action, and your heels might still lift up. This is not a quick fix, right? So this is a practice like anything else. But let's think about that same movement we did with the chair. So this time I want you to face your prop, and if you have a banister or something you can hold on to a wall, that's something that's not moving, that would be even better here to support you. But have your feet a little bit wider than hips distance, and we'll turn our toes out, heels in slightly. And the same thing here, as you begin to bend your knees, rather than compensating your weight by leaning forward and sticking your seat way out, I want you to, there's a slight lean forward, but as you bend your knees, send the weight back to your heels a little bit as you lower your hips, and just being mindful of when and if those heels pop up. And again, if you have a prop that you can hold on to, you can use that here. And then to come out, we'll slightly lean forward, but not too much. Weight goes onto our toe mounds, and we're using our strong legs to stand up and get those hips right over our knees and ankles. And we'll do that just a couple mindful rounds here as we slowly lower. And maybe your lower is right here, and then you can just come right back up. So going down, having a prop, something to hold on to, will oftentimes give us a little bit more support to lower the hips all the way down. But again, for now, if the hips don't come all the way down, that's okay. We're working with our bodies, not against our bodies. All right, my friends, I hope that this practice was useful. Feel free to return to any of the exercises and drills. And just remember that your yoga practice and your movement practice is a journey, so enjoy it. I'll see you in the next video.